Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Akib Rahman Khan, and I'm here with my colleague Mahfouz Aftab. Warm welcome to our Tech Talk, which is about writing test code for Ionic applications. We're going to talk mainly about software testing. So, software testing is a process used to identify the correctness, completeness, and quality of developed software. Or, in simple words, it is an activity to check that the software system is defect free. It also ensures that your application fulfills all requirements that it was designed to fulfill and meet quality expectations. As you can see, even Darth Vader finds your lack of testing very disturbing. So the importance of testing is you have to ask yourself this question: where is the proof that what you have created actually works? What is the best way to test it? To prove the complete correctness of code, you need to know exactly what correct behavior is for the code. However, in the real world, you will never get a clear-cut specification of what the code should do.
Testing doesn't give you a proof of correctness for real world projects, but like the approaches of numerical analysis, it can give you an approximate proof with reasonable error bounds, also known as a confidence factor. The more that means, in a simple word, we can say the more you write test codes, that will smaller the error bounds and the better your confidence. Test code significantly reduces the future maintenance effort and it eliminates the defects in the early stage of software development, avoid the lengthy, tedious debugging later on. And it also helps us to drive a good design. TDD, also known as the test-driven development, offers more than just simple validation of correctness, but can also drive the design of a program. Test code also help us to understand the user specification more clearly. And test code help us to refactor the code in the early stage of the software development and push the programmers to keep separate the user interface methods and software functionality methods separate. And it also helps us to avoid the complex algorithm because complex algorithms are very hard to test. So it helps us to keep the algorithms simpler.
Now I'm going to talk about the technologies used for unit testing and end-to-end testing. We mainly use three frameworks for testing in Ionic, and they are Jasmine, Karma, and Protractor. Let's start off with Jasmine. Jasmine is a behavior-driven development framework for testing JavaScript code. What that means is having a software development methodology in which an application is specified and designed by describing how its behavior should appear to an outside observer. A test suite begins with a call to the global Jasmine function described with two parameters, a string and a function. The string is a name or title for a spec suite, usually what is being tested. The function is a block of code that implements the suite. To help a test suite dry up any duplicate setup and tear down code, Jasmine provides the global before each function. As the name implies, the before each function is called once before each spec in the describe in which it is called. Specs are defined by calling the global Jasmine function it, which, like described, takes a string and a function. The string is the title of the spec, and the function is the spec or test. Expectations are built with a function expect, which takes a value called the actual. It is chained with a matcher function, which takes the expected value. A spec contains one or more expectations that test the state of the code. An expectation in Jasmine is an assertion that is either true or false. A spec with all true expectations is a passing spec. A spec with one or more false expectations is a failing spec. Moving on to Karma. Karma is a JavaScript command line tool that can be used to spawn a web server which loads your application's source code and executes your tests. You can configure Karma to run against a number of browsers, which is useful for being confident that your application works on all browsers that you need to support. Karma is executed on the command line and will display the results of your test on the command line once they have run in the browser. Karma is a Node.js application and should be installed through npm. For instructions on how to set up Karma in Jasmine, please refer to the following link. Now we're going to see a sample test code. Here we have a sample function which we're going to test. It mainly calls an API from the ops.techdojo.org to get all the orders. Here on the right side, we have the code for the tests. As you can see, the words marked in red were already talked about, and the words marked in green is what I'm going to talk about now. We use HTTP backend to fake the HTTP service when used in unit testing. The HTTP backend used in production always responds to requests asynchronously. If we preserve this behavior in unit testing, we'd have to create asynchronous unit tests, which are hard to write, to follow, and to maintain. But neither can the testing mock respond synchronously. That would change the execution of the code under test. For this reason, the mock HTTP backend has a flush method, which allows the test to explicitly flush pending requests. This preserves the asynchronous API of the backend while allowing the test to execute synchronously. Now I shall show you a live demo of a unit test code, which I hope will make things more clear. Here on the right side, we have the code, which I already showed before, and now we're going to run the test. You can run the test with the following command. As you can see, all of my tests are passing. Now if we change the value of the to equal variable, then we shall see it fail. And voila, it's failing. Now if we return the value back to its original number, we should see it pass again. And there we go. Now we're going to talk about end-to-end testing.
End-to-end testing is a technique used to test whether the flow of an application is performing as designed from start to finish. The purpose of carrying out end-to-end tests is to identify system dependencies and ensure that the right information is passed between various system components and systems. The entire application is tested in a real-world simulation where the user interface communicates with like a database, network, or hardware, etc. The technology for end-to-end testing. The three key technologies are Protector, WebDriver, and Jasmine for end-to-end testing. Protector is a Node.js program run end-to-end test, and Protector uses the Jasmine for its test syntax. Protector also uses the WebDriver to control the browser and simulate the user actions. And Jasmine is an open source testing framework for JavaScript, aims to run on any JavaScript enabled platform. And here, for our scenario, we are using Selenium WebDriver to control the browsers and simulate the user actions. So here we can see the describe function highlighted in the red color, and the describe function organize all the tests into test shoots, and in the before each functions also highlighted in the red color function, we instruct the browser to load the login view as we want to test the successful login test, and this automatically uses the page URL when we see it in the configuration file, and the element and by functions are part of Protector and make it easy for you to find elements on the view. So the it functions, here you can see the it functions. The it functions defines the actual test that as I have already said that we want to test the successful login. Now we will move to our demo for the end-to-end testing. So here you can see the test code for end-to-end testing, and at first we will try to fail that test by providing wrong username and password. So to start the test, we need to run the command Ionic no browser. And we can see that Ionic no browser is start the simulation. Then now we will write the command for end-to-end testing. You can see that it writes the username and the password for testing, and we see that the test failed. Now we will write the right username and password. So we enter the correct username and password in the test code, and now we'll run the test. And yes, you can see that test pass, and it shows the message that it should validate the credentials for the successful login pass. So here is the link for our sample test code given in the GitHub. And if you have any question, please get in touch with us. And here are some resources. Thank you.